Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan here, with Big Cass. Massive game this week, brother. Night game. Shoe is going to be all scarlet. I don't think they're going to checker the shoe like the Vol Nation saying. That's been the debate this week that they're going to, have the student section. Basically, it's going to be all volunteers fans, which that doesn't even make any sense because uh, you can't buy those tickets on resale in the student section. But basically, the past 2.5, 3 weeks of banner on Twitter with the Vol fans, it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been a blast. I'm not gonna lie. I've enjoyed it.
They have
Um,
the absolute worst, in my opinion. But
they haven't put together one sensible argument on Twitter, which is great. Um, I love the energy. I'm excited for the game. It's gonna be a big game energy. And the Buckeyes, man, I think they're ready. I think they're loose. I think they're ready. Tim May posted a clip a couple days ago. He was at practice. I believe it was Tuesday. The boys are flying. They were flying. You can tell they had a pep in their step. They had some energy. They had some juice. Meanwhile, Tennessee, they're practicing indoors. Buckeyes practicing outside. Kickoff, man, it's gonna be a cold one. It's gonna snow Friday night. Um, it's going to be in the 20s. Everyone's saying, "Oh, that doesn't favor Ohio State." I don't believe that one bit, man. I think it's time that, the Buckeyes show up.
yeah, um, and what's weird is if you really look at it this way, Ohio State and Ryan Day and the coaching staff and players haven't really talked about the weather. They've been outside practicing in it. Obviously, it's not going. It hasn't been as bad this week or last week compared to what it's going to be this Saturday. Just a couple 10 degrees colder probably, but Josh Heupel and Nico and those guys are in their press conferences being asked by the media about the weather, and they're the ones saying weather's not going to be a factor. We're going to be all right. We're going to wear these all white Sub-Zero uniforms.
Which are cool. I'm not gonna lie. The uniforms are very cool.
Yeah,
I'll give
they
them
are
that.
cool.
They're
If
sick. They're
if
sick.
you weren't worried about it,
This might be an all
why
time.
are you talking about it?
This might be. That's a great point. This might be an all time uniform game because we're wearing the all scarlet. They're wearing the Sub Zeros. It's gonna look amazing on TV. I'm not gonna lie. But back to your point, yeah. If they're talking about it, um, it also feels like the Tennessee fans are trying to prove that they live in a cold spot. And like all their arguments are like, oh, it snows here too. And I'm like, I get that. It snows there. There's a difference though between, you know, 32 and some snow flurries or like an inch on the ground and 20 and windy. And there's been, a foot of snow the night before. Like they don't understand the Midwest wind and all and the wind chill and all that, which they're gonna find out. It's fine. And they're also not gonna real. I don't think they realize why some of these tickets are so cheap in the nosebleeds because it's gonna get cold up there, man. It's gonna feel like probably like in the teens. And I
I
know,
was up there. I was at the Michigan game. I worked in the camera deck.
and it
It
wasn't
was
even.
cold.
And
It
it
was
wasn't.
cold.
It's definitely not going to be as. It's going to be much colder because it's going to be probably like 10 degrees colder, more wind, and the sun's going to be down. Michigan was at least at noon. You had the sun.
And the morning was cold, man. But it's so wild to me that these Tennessee fans, oh, we're going to plant the flag. Oh, we got a plan to throw the goalpost out into the Olentangy. I haven't seen one intelligent post by a Tennessee fan, and I'm not saying there's not any intelligent fans out there for as Tennessee fans because I'm sure there are. And granted, we're on the Buckeye side of things, and I know this fan base is Ohio State fan base can a lot of them are idiots too, and we've seen it a lot these
I
last
mean,
couple of
we're,
weeks
we're
too.
idiots. I recognize we're idiots. It's fine. I
Like,
recognize people are going to be biased to their own teams. That's fine.
I get it. I really do. And then I think what the worst is, you got Michigan fans and Tennessee fans being like Apollo Creed and Rocky and in one of the Rocky movies at the end. You know the famous handshake meme. It
Yeah.
it's been a brutal couple weeks. It really has. We lost to that team up north. Um, Buckeye fans are angry. We didn't get the chance to hear Chip Kelly talk about the game until what, Tuesday, um, or
And
Monday.
And also,
It's
just transfer portal stuff is just adding fuel to the fire. It's like every time a big guy goes into the portal and he doesn't pick Ohio State, it's like fire Justin Fry, fire Ryan Day. It's just like I've never been more ready for a game in my life, and
yeah,
I don't care. Like
and we
the
got a big one today. We got a good one today. Like Daniels coming in from Minnesota. Like that's a huge
tackle.
win for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, he played over. I want to say he played over 300 snaps for them this year, and he's a projected star. He was a projected
He's going
star.
to start at right tackle day one coming in next year.
That's a great ad for the Buckeyes, absolutely. And they have another tackle that's coming in too. If you saw the post, I think it was it Burns? Someone on Twitter posted basically that there's another guy coming in for a visit, and it's not the Minnesota guy. So like they're doing
Burn
well in the portal.
Burn was talking about today on his podcast that he really literally walked by. They had to move the camera because the guy doesn't want to be identified yet.
Yeah,
Who is it? We don't know. Like nobody knows. There's
yeah.
just speculations, but I'm not going to sit here and say who I know who it is because I don't know. I'm not one of those people that's going to go out and seek who it is. But here's the thing, this is a good segue. Ryan Day, we're going to rotate Austin Cerebell. People are like, how are we rotating a guy? We've been at guard all rotated guard in the playoffs. We got it. We can't be rotating. We've been rotating Austin Cerebell and Integra Shabola all year long at right guard. Where the hell have you been?
I'm not worried about that. And the key is we just played a team with one of the best defensive lines in the country. I'm gonna give Michigan credit here. I don't give Michigan much credit. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and their defensive alignment, their defensive ends, it's one of the best defensive lines in the country. Even with all the stuff that was going on with Michigan preseason, we've always said that it's going to be one of the best defensive lines in the country. Tennessee has a solid defensive line, but they don't have Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham up front.
They have Pierce, man. Pierce Jr. is really good.
Which
Seven and a half sacks.
but he's more of like an Abdul Carter type, I would say.
All the talk has been their defensive line outside of Pierce Jr. He's got 7.5 sacks. The next guy is Norman Lai with 4. They
And
don't.
I looked at the size too of them. They weren't. I don't believe they're
They're
that.
just fast,
They're not a big defensive line. They're not. They're
and
not.
their linebackers are going to run downhill because the D tackles are pretty big, and that's where I think with Carson Hinsman and Luke Montgomery, who's probably going to start at left guard, and then Austin Cerebell or Tiger Shabola, they've got to play a really good game. But this is where Ohio State can use their strength too. I think Will Kazmarek has to be huge in this game, and Travion and Quinshon in the throw game. I think with Will Kazmarek, you can use him as a third tackle slash with the tight end because you can have him G. Scott Jr. too. You can have them on wherever Pierce Jr. lines up is where I think G. Scott Jr. and Will Kazmarek needs to line up on offense just to be able to chip that guy to give the comfortability with a brand new starting left guard in Luke Montgomery to be able to put a body on on these on these defensive tackles in the throw game situation here, which I think Ohio State's going to be aggressive with early out. Is I think we're going to throw first to open up run is keeping Quinshon and Travion in the backfield to allow Will Howard to be able to throw the ball to 4-17-2. 4-17-2 should be the game plan in this game for Ohio State to open up Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, but you have to keep guys to block. I always talk about our defensive line, and this is if you really watch Ohio teams that block against Ohio State, they always keep a tight end, they always keep a running back in to block or just enough block to give their quarterback to throw the football. People talk about Jack Sawyer not putting pressure. Jack Sawyer was top 5 in the country in pressure percentage, and people are like, "Well, he's not getting home." Blah blah blah. That's because their teams are always keeping a tight end and a back to block, and I think Ohio State has to do that this week with Will Kazmarek, G. Scott Jr., and Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Maybe you do one of those delayed routes with the tight end or with the running back to get the Travion and Quinshon out in space.
I agree. I mean, when I look at Tennessee, I think their strengths is on the offensive line. I think Cooper Mays, he's a really good center for them. Lance Hurd was a freshman all SEC team tackle. Now he's kind of had a sophomore slump this year, but he's still a very good player. And then
They've
whole
also given up 26 sacks this year,
yeah,
though.
yeah, they all when the game he didn't play, he yeah, you are correct. I'm not gonna lie. And then they have Holden Stays, the tight end. He's also good, but Samson's a very good back. I'm not gonna lie.
He's
He's
really good.
really really good.
I
Um,
think, and I think he might be the best back in the playoffs. That's just my opinion.
I he's definitely top two. I don't think he's better than Genie. I'm not gonna say that. I think if you put Genie on Tennessee, I think or Genty, obviously Ashton Gent, not Gene. Genty, he would put up massive numbers as well. I just think Ohio State has been pretty solid at stopping the run this year.
Yeah,
And outside the one long run, it wasn't a long, it was a 20-yard scamper against the Buckeyes, against Michigan with Mullings when we had him in the backfield. Sawyer had him, and then by the way, there was a hold on that play that went on unnoticed. Um, I just think
which, by the way, after you get to this point, I got to share something that our good colleague Blake sent me.
I think it's just gonna this game is gonna be strength on strength, and it's gonna be a really good game because I think Ohio State's strength is stopping the run in the defensive line with Tyleik Williams and Jack Sawyer and JTT. Tennessee's strength is running the ball.
And
And
Tyleek's finally going to be healthy.
And then on the flip side, Tennessee's strength on defense is their secondary. They have some really good secondary players. Um, Ricky Gibson the third, Jermon McCoy, Andre Turrentine. Like these are solid players for them. But meanwhile, they got to deal with Emeka Buka, Jeremiah Smith.
There's
Uh,
nobody in the SEC besides Ryan Williams from Alabama to be able that they've seen. Now
yeah,
they get this. Now they have to see three of them.
Uh, Will Brooks for Tennessee. I believe he's their safety. He's a really good player, senior, 3 picks on the year. It's going to be strength on strength. I think this game is won or lost though with Ohio State secondary. I think it's going to come down to those boys. If those boys can lock up these Tennessee receivers, because I think the Tennessee receivers and Ohio State's DBs are going to be the X factors in this game for both teams. I think pretty much across the board it's going to be a wash when it's strength on strength. I think both teams will get wins here or there, but I do think it's going to come down to our corners and our safeties. They have Brew McCoy, Squirrel White. They have excuse me, Dante Thornton. Tennessee's leading receiver. He is a monster. Chris Brazel also a really good player who transferred in from Tulane. He's 6'5". Thornton's obviously their best receiver, but Tennessee has a bunch of solid receivers. They don't have a true number one. Ohio State though, they have a bunch of we have great secondary players. It's gonna be won or loss, I think, there. And that's my honest take. I think it's gonna come down to the secondary.
They don't have a Jalen Hyatt out there.
No,
Uh,
but Squirrel White can definitely they can
yeah,
definitely deal with him. Squirrel White's liable for one or two big plays.
yeah, but I think Nico. It all comes down to. I agree with your assessment with Ohio State secondary. I also think that
Their receivers are also just so big and strong. Like Brew McCoy, 6'3", over 220 pounds. Dante Thornton is 6'5". Chris Brazel is 6'5". And then Squirrel White, he's their burner. He's 5'10". So I think their receivers,
I
if they jump balls, I like their chances.
uh, I think it comes down to the quarterbacks. I think Nico has made some good plays this year, but he's also been really bad too.
Yeah.
And
Which
it comes,
which Nico's going to show up is the question.
yeah. And what kind of pressure does Jim Knowles dial up? Jim Knowles seems jacked up for this game, so I'm excited for it. I just think defensively, we have Caleb Downs. We have the best player in the country, in my opinion. Who, by the way, they said ESPN made the top whatever players in the playoffs, and he was number 19, which I don't agree with.
That's insane. That's in
Um,
what?
yeah, I'll have to find that for you.
I mean, ESPN is also promoting the bowl game tonight, Cal versus UNLV, with a graphic of Cal's quarterback who's in the transfer portal right now. So that I don't care what ESPN says. I trust
I
the message boards more at this point.
I think Cody Simon, Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, and Lathan Ransom are going to be the X factors. I just think um, the way those five fly around the football is going to be the X factor. I think if Ohio State can dial up some pressure, game's over. Game's over. I
I I also really like Tennessee's kicker Max Gilbert. He has hit a couple 50-yarders this year. He's made 3 50-yarders. His long is a 52. I think that's something we got to note. So just be on the lookout for that. If it's getting, if it's a 2 minute situation, he can make the long ones.
Yeah, and offensively, I think if we just don't get in our own way and we play Buckeye football, Chip Kelly and Ryan Day just dial it up, man. If they can just dial it up like they did against Oregon, if they did dial it up like they did against Indiana in certain areas that we need to, and this offensive line just hold steady, I think we win pretty convincingly. But Tennessee's a really good team. They're here for a reason. Um, their fans are mad because they think they should be hosting the game. They beat Alabama, but they looked really bad against Arkansas and Georgia. Um, so it it comes down to this coaching staff. Do they have these guys ready? We still have the third best odds to win the national championship, which is crazy. We're tied with Georgia. I think we get it done. I think the fan base needs this. I think Ryan Day needs this. The players need this. They want that rematch against Oregon. They are jacked up. They are ready to go. They're going to play loose. They're going to fly around the football, and they're going to beat Tennessee Saturday night. And, they're going to beat them 28-17 in the shoe, in the Scarlet out with the drones, the light show, everything. We're going to beat them. And this fan base is going to cry back to Knoxville on Twitter.
I got so you said 28-17. I said 27-18. Um I think it'll be Ohio State will get 3 touchdowns, two field goals. Fielding will kind of redeem himself a
I
little
don't
bit,
think it's going to be fielding.
or whoever the kicker is. I think the kickers will redeem themselves. I see Tennessee getting 18 in like a weird way. I see them scoring a touchdown, a field goal, and then like a late two or something like that. Um, so I see 27-18 Ohio State, but in a very good game. Um, all three phases are going to be important in this game. I think um, I think Will Howard redeems himself too. I think Will Howard goes out and throws at least, 2 touchdown passes. I think we get Jeremiah involved heavily, heavily. And when it comes down to it too, like Emeka will be there as a safety valve. Um, so I mean that's my prediction. I also think though Tennessee, they're gonna run Samson at least 25 times. Um, they really lean on him. If you kind of look through the numbers, he's ran he's had 256 carries on the year. Um, he's carried the ball over 25 times. Three, four, five. Five games he's had carries 20 with 25 or more carries, and there's another game where he had 24 carries. His long on the year is 53 yards, but he's not like he's more like I feel like he reminds me of Mullings, a Khalil Mullings type runner. which kind of does concern me because he could definitely get those hard yards. Um, and in a game like this could be that could be the difference. But I don't know. I just have a feeling. I have a gut feeling that Ohio State redeems themselves. Um, this feels like no one's really giving Ohio State a chance type of game. I know we're the favorite, but
68% people think we're going to win, but it doesn't feel that way.
it does not feel that way. It feels like we're the underdog, which is a great spot for the Buckeyes to be. And everyone's also comparing this to the Missouri game. This is completely different than the Missouri game. Let's get it.
Playoffs.
It's the playoffs. Missouri game, we didn't have a starting quarterback. We didn't have Marvin Harrison. We didn't have half our offensive line. That was and the coaching staff didn't care about that. I know that it sounds like excuses, but those are facts. It's a perfect storm for a failure. This is completely different. 3 weeks of prep, hard training. Um, I know the fan base is going to be really jacked up for this one. I mean, I'm so gutted I can't go. Cash, I know you're on the fence. I'm gutted just because I have some family stuff I have to deal with. And I can't make it, unfortunately. I'm just so gutted that I can't go. But it looks like it's an incredible atmosphere. And it's gonna be a night to remember in the shoe, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And God forbid if something Tennessee does win, uh, I think if Tennessee does win, the unfortunate is Ryan Day will resign on Sunday. I I believe that. I think this fan base will run him out of Columbus, and it's hard to think about, but it's not going to happen. Like I said, Ohio State's going to win.
I think that's a little. I mean, look, I don't want him to resign if we lose.
I don't either.
I
I
don't
don't
think that
either.
would be a smart decision. I think you got to give him one more year after. Like, I think he gets one more year after this. He's done a lot. I know the Michigan games haven't gone well. I know it's super frustrating. I recognize that. That absolutely has to change. But he's also done a lot of good.
Yep.
Uh, and it hasn't been perfect. We all recognize that. He's not Urban. We recognize that. He's not Tress. We recognize that. Is he still a very good football coach? Yes, he is.
Yes.
I don't know who's out there that we would upgrade. Everyone's saying Vrabel, Vrabel, Vrabel. Well, my thing about Vrabel is I don't know how
I
that
don't know.
I just don't know how that would work in college. I don't know
Got to
like
figure out the offensive line recruiting situation.
and Vrabel, like he gets the most out of his guys. Like the Titans rosters, they were not good rosters outside like having Derrick Henry, but they just played so hard. They played a good style of defense, good style of offense, and I know he would have basically close to unlimited resources at Ohio State. But like when it comes to like offense, um, I like Ryan Day much more than Vrabel. Defense, I obviously like Vrabel more. Special teams, it's a wash for me just because I watched a lot of Titans games and their special teams was not good, man. It was not good at all. They had I think they had like was it Nick Folk? He like at points they just stopped kicking extra points because they couldn't make extra points in the NFL with their kickers. They literally had to go for two, and he did not rectify that.
Yeah.
So I
I
know Vrabel looks like the hero, and I know he has the ties to the school, and I like Vrabel, but like let's just we also have to think about this. It's a big decision.
yeah, I unfortunately for the Buckeyes, I don't think that's going to happen on Sunday. But if God forbid if we lose, I do think. I mean, it's one of those things where if we lose, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
Ohio State's going to win. These seniors are going to come off the shoe with a victory, and they're going to go into Oregon, go into the Rose Bowl to take on Oregon.
I think too, the comments by the Tennessee player added fuel to this fire when he said, what do you say, the shoe isn't that loud. I think the fan base at the shoe this night game, those who show up, I think they're gonna be fired up. I really do. And my logic behind this is the ticket prices have dropped. When the ticket prices drop, what does that mean? That means Gertrude isn't going to the game. It means the common folk can buy the tickets. And when the common folk can buy the tickets, Buckeye Nation shows up and shows out. I know they said 41% of the resale tickets have gone to Tennessee, but that's 41%. That's not even half of the tickets that have been on the resale. So you got like it's not going to be all Tennessee fans. They're not checkering the shoe. I
Oh,
would I it and realistically, it'll probably be the northeast end zone air, not like the northeast corridor,
Yeah.
all the away teams. Like I think they'll have a nice little section there, and I'll say maybe
Hmm.
be like 20% of stadium Tennessee fans, which is a lot. I'd say 20-30,000 are going to show up still, but it's Buckeye Nation. Buckeye Nation has shown up to Cal for games.
Nope.
California when Kenny Guyton was starting at quarterback. Um, we're not they're not coming into our house and doing that to us in a
Nope.
game, no matter what Twitter wants you to believe. Zero chance.
Yeah, I think Ohio State, they're going to be Buckeye Nation's going to be ready. They're going to be ready, and I think you know there was someone said at practice today. I was listening to the podcast, and they said that Brian Hartline and Ryan Day were laughing it up, and they said they hadn't seen that since we played Georgia um, in the Peach Bowl.
They seem like, and I said this early, like they seem relaxed, they seem loose. I think this 3 weeks off was good for them.
A lot of soul searching, getting ready for this, the playoffs.
Like the worst thing that could have happened to them. So if they lose a tennis, there's they like they can't play with any fear. There's nothing they cannot lose anymore. Like they have nothing to lose because they've already lost everything 3 weeks ago. There's nothing left for us to lose at this point.
Buckeyes win. Does the student section sing Rocky Top?
Um, I think Ryan Day should just walk down um with a nice little milk bone and give it to Smokey. That's what I would do, dude.
I this is my thing for this is a Jack Sawyer thing. Buckeyes win. Jack Sawyer gets saved. Jack Sawyer has a big game. Jack Sawyer goes to the best damn band in the land and pulls a Peyton Manning, and they do Rocky Top.
Oh, dude, that would be all time.
I'm calling it right now. Buckeyes win 28-17. Jack Sawyer goes down and leads to Biddle to Rocky Top.
I just want to point out too, um, because the show's winding down. I just want to make it clear for any Tennessee fans watching. I like you guys like any other time, any other game you're in. I've always supported you. Like I was the Joe Milton fan train, like King. I was probably his number one believer. I've been to Knoxville. I have family members that actually go to the University of Tennessee. I like Tennessee. I just don't like them today. Like I hope you guys enjoy Columbus. I hope um, the best part about this is people are posting the bars in Columbus, like the worst bars or stuff, or like places where like when they ask for recommendations, it's like, oh, go to this bar, and it's like 10 miles away. Um, so I just hope the tailgates are respectful. They're fun. Everyone, both sides treat each other with
Yeah,
respect.
on both sides, don't be jackasses. Like,
So that's my one ask. I think these
yeah,
are great fan bases.
my my favorite player in NFL history is from the University of Tennessee. So, I
Who,
mean, Peyton Manning, man.
okay.
Like I don't hate Tennessee. I really strongly have started to dislike their fan base these last couple of weeks. But I get it; they're passionate, just like Buckeye fans, and um, I've been quiet about it until today. Talking on the podcast, but Buckeyes win, man. I'm going to be insufferable. Like I really am because I've dealt with it for 3 weeks.
Uh, I'm gonna be a little. I'll be insufferable for about 24 hours, and then I'll be locked in on Oregon. I
Yeah,
think.
I think till about Christmas Eve, and then I'll be locked in for Christmas Eve, and then the day after Christmas, I'll be locked in for the Rose Bowl.
I mean, looking ahead, if Ohio State gets that opportunity, or Ohio State versus Oregon in the Rose Bowl is really like the real Big Ten championship, and that's going to be really exciting if that happens. Um, not looking ahead. This is a big one against Tennessee.
Yep, got
And
to
I
take
do
care of
think
these guys first.
I do think it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a close game. It really is, and I think we'll pull away late. But it's going to be. I think
We're gonna get a late touchdown that seals it.
I can see like a Caleb. I can see like a Jordan Hancock pick six. I think that's my prediction. Jordan Hancock pick six. That's my one bold prediction.
I do have a turnover, but I still think the offense goes down and seals it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I think
but
Caleb Downs is going to have a big day. I really do.
yeah, I mean, I think he'll have a big game. I think Hancock will make a play. It's gonna be a night. Buckle up, and I know we're saying this earlier. I hate how this is the night game. I know it's a cool it's a night game, and the Buckeye Nation needs the night game because we haven't had one. I just I'm itching to go. I'm itching to watch this team go. I think we're all itching to watch them play. I think they're itching to play, and it just kind of stinks that we have to wait. We're literally the last game of the whole first round when it's like I think they would if they could get out there and play Friday, they would because I think they are ready to go. These boys are ready. They're prepped. Like the gloves are coming off. It's going to be a heavyweight fight. Ding
So
ding ding.
how do you think Friday goes, and how do you think the other two games go? I know with our new podcast rules and stuff, we can't go by spreads or anything anymore.
No, no. Yeah, like
Um,
you see the bracket playing out and stuff.
yeah, I think there will be an upset, and I think it's going to be Friday. I think Indiana is going to knock off Notre Dame.
I see that. I think that
I think Texas is pissed off about the SEC championship that game, and I think they take it to Clemson.
I disagree. I think Clemson matches up well with Texas. I think Quinn Ewers is a little overrated. I think right now, like I think Klubnik's a better quarterback. I think Clemson's hot. I think their defensive line's solid. I know, and then when you look at the common things, the common opponents like Georgia beat the brakes off Texas the one time, and then it was a little closer in the SEC championship, obviously. Um, Clemson also lost to Georgia, but I think this is a hot Clemson team, so I think Clemson is going to win that one.
And I got Penn State over SMU.
That seems like the obvious one. Um, so I also agree. If James Franklin messes this up, messes up against SMU, man,
It's over for him.
if James Franklin loses to SMU and Ryan Day loses to Tennessee, all I'm saying is James Franklin better be fired before Ryan Day.
I don't think Ohio State fires Ryan Day.
Or he resigns or whatever. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
James Franklin should have to resign if he lose. If they have the easiest playoff path I've ever seen. It's a very realistic chance. It's gonna be. And it all depends on Carson Beck's injury, the UCL. I think that's a big thing. We might have Notre Dame versus Penn State for a chance to go to the national championship. The way,
While on the other side, it could be Georgia, Oregon, or Georgia, Ohio State, or Georgia, Tennessee.
yeah, it's insane. But that's all I got. We're about to get kicked off Zoom. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. Go Bucks, and we will see you here next week to talk about Oregon. Mark my words. Go Bucks. Let's beat the ball, baby.